So everyone, welcome to our today's class on global language, English as a global language. In our previous classes, we have talked about the issue regarding the reasons that are the causes of making English as a global language. And again, we are repeating the scenario that not only for the cause of political and economic reasons, some other reasons are responsible for making English as a global language. In this regard, today we will be discussing about the context of popular music, how popular music played significant role for making English as a global language. And here we see that cinema is one of the new entertainment technologies, and that was started its journey. Cinema started its journey in 19th century when the recording industry has been established. And most probably all of us know the name of Thomas Alva Edison, and he is an American inventor. As you see on the slides, that is Thomas Alva Edison was an American inventor and businessman. And actually, before Thomas Alva Edison, there was a technology that that technology could easily record the sound. However, Thomas Alva Edison discovered a technology that was able to record motion picture and sound as well, and that create influence in the cinematography all over the world, and that played significant role regarding our concern, that is English language.
Sorry, your mic is muted.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, there is an internet problem, and for this reason, it has been creating problem. So again, I repeat, that is for the invention of Thomas Alva Edison's technology, the technology could record the sound and the picture as well. And from that time onwards, the cinematography played significant role all over the world. And also our concern is related to the English language, why English language is related to cinema. And the first US patent for magnetic tape was early as 1927. Columbia Records introduced the long playing disc in 1948, and all the major recording companies in popular music had English language origin. So we have heard the name of Thomas Alva Edison, and apart from that, other recording industries, maximum were English language origin. And later, the oldest active record label is the US farm Columbia, that was from 1898. Others are HMV, originally British, merged in 1931 with Columbia from EMI. And other labels includes Brunswick, established in the USA in 1916, and Decca, established in Britain in 1929. That means these industries are based on either USA or Britain. Both are sorry, the internet problem is tremendous today. Again and again, I am going off net. So I can. Now, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I can make my video off so that we can get good net speed. And after cinematography and recording industry, radio comes up. Radio sets around the world hourly testify to the dominance of English in the popular music since today. So radio played a very significant role in terms of establishing English language all over the world. And we know the information that many people in their life first had the contact with English language through radio, and that is a technology. And English is in the genre start much earlier during the 19th century, and popular music was embedded with the dance halls. And when cinematography got a good impact for the discovery of Thomas Alva Edison, then English popular music was introduced in dance hall, beer halls, popular theaters of innumerable European cities, producing thousands of songs whose content regards from the widely comic and satirical to the disparate sentimental. So popular music started to perform all the gathering, people's gathering, dance hall, theater, music, beer halls, everywhere. And the British Music Hall was a major influence on popular trends, much more so, it is thought, than the French and the German cabarets and operas of the period. So, though other music came into existence in such time, however, the British music had a very greater experience, influence on popular music. Again, traveling British entertainers visited USA, which developed its own music hall tradition in the form of uh, vaudeville, vaudeville, and touring minstrel groups became popular from the middle of the 19th century. Again, some musical group, they started to tour all over the world. They became also famous. They would perform one country to another country. And such kind of trend became very much influential towards the middle of the 19th century. And just for an example, that the songwriter such as Stephen Foster found their composition of her 200 hit song, including Old Fox at Home, Camptown Races, and Beautiful Dreamer, circulating on an unprecedented scale through the rapidly growing networks of theater. So this traveling musical group started to move from one country to another, and they started to perform music in English language. By the turn of the century, Teen Pal Alley, the popular name for the Broadway-centered long song publishing industry, was a reality and was soon known worldwide as the chief source of US popular music. So, in this regard, Teen uh, Pan Alley also played a significant role for in the theater performance regarding popular music. During the early 20th century, European light opera, typified by Strauss and Offenbach, developed in an English language dimension, and several major composers were immigrants to several major composers were immigrants to the USA, such as Czech-born Rudolf Farmel, who arrived in 1906, Hungarian-born Sigmund Robert, who arrived in 1909. They were the children of immigrants such as George Gershwin. So some song composer, they were immigrants to USA. And for this reason, the popular music we had in our hand towards the middle and the end of the 19th century that were all in English. Whoever the song composer might be from USA or from British origin or from the other origin, they were immigrant to USA. And the same decade also saw the rapid growth of a musical uh, distinctively US product, and the rise of a fame of such composer as Jerome Kern, George Kenswell, and the later Cole Porter and Richard Rogers. So these are the uh, composer. They were famous at the time. Soon the words of the hit song were being learned by the heart and reproduced with varying accent in cabarets and the music hall all over the Europe, as well as in the homes of the well-to-do. So when a music, sorry, can you hear me now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Actually, the net is not working well today, and for this reason, again and again, I am getting offline. Yeah? Sorry for the interruption. So, what I had been talking that the popular musical group, they were developed their musical groups either US origin or from Britain origin. However, some other musician, they were immigrant to USA. And for this reason, when a song or the popular music gets popularity, that song had a massive consequence towards the audience, especially the young people all over the world, especially in the Europe. They started to get the song in their heart and started to reproduce the music in their own accent. However, the language was English. So the music gets popularity, the English music, and the people all over the Europe and the other parts of the world, they started to get the music by their heart, and they produce this music in their own language or accent, especially English. The accent might be different, but that was in English. Though the music and the musical groups were basically uh, in English language origin. In this regard, another music, you have heard the name of this music, that is jazz music. Okay, jazz influenced so much by the folk blues or a black plantation worker had its linguistics dimension. So jazz music, you know, that it's got popularity beginning of the towards the beginning of the 20th century. So this music got influence to all over the Europe. And in this regard, jazz music had also a linguistics dimension through because this music was tremendously popular all over Europe. And other genres emerged based on popular music, that is hillbilly song, country music, gospel song, and a wide range of folk singing. So such kind of singing, popular music was added with the various presentation of popular music like jazz, gospel music, gospel song, hillbilly songs, and country music. And all major of these songs are based on English language origin. So uh, the vocal element in the dance music of such swing band of Glenn Miller swept in the world in 1930 decades and in the 1940 decades. So such kind of music get popularity towards the beginning of the 20th century and towards the end of the 19th century. So in the due course, the words and the beats of rhythm and the blues grew into the rock and roll. So this was the scenario regarding the popular music. And after that, popular modern music arrived. It was almost entirely an English thing when popular music came into reality. And the pop groups of two cheap English-speaking nations were soon to dominate the recording world. So as we had been talking earlier, that the popular music, most of the music initiating company based on English language based. And here we find the top level top level recording world, two companies, that is Bill Haley and the Comets, and Elvis Presley in the USA. And the Beats, you have heard the name of this band, the Beats, and the Rolling Stone in the UK. So in the USA, we see these Bill Haley and the Comets and the Elvis Presley. And in UK, you see the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. These musical brand and the modern musical group were the forefront in music industry. So the pop groups came into existence and such kind of pop music flourished all over the world. But the information is that they initiated pop music, modern music, jazz music, and most of the origin were in English language. So through the spread of popular music, English language also is spread all over the world. No other single source has spread the English language around the youth of the world so rapidly and so pervasively. So we see that the music, the popular music, they spread it English language in such a way that other genre, we had been talking about the access to knowledge, the communication, the other international organization, they use English language, but it is popular music that is spreaded English language, especially towards the heart of the young generation all over the world, that it could had a very important impact in English language. And here in 1996, Nick Renault, a popular music producer, popular
Pinky.
Rick Nelland, a popular music producer of the BBC World Service, commented that. So in this regard, as I had been talking, that popular music create greater influence for spreading English language. In this regard, Nick Reynolds commented that pop music is virtually the only field in which the British have led the world in the past 3 decades, and adds, echoing the accolade made some 200 years ago. Britain is still the pop workshop of the planet. So, jazz music, and after jazz music, that is the pop music. And that pop music was originated in Britain, though 4 companies are there uh, two US based company and two UK based company. They were famous in pop music. So in this regard, Nick Reynolds commented that pop music created greater influence of spreading English language all over the world. And in 2000 year, the English language character of the international pop music world is extraordinary. And we have got data over here. In 1990 edition of the Penguin Encyclopedia of Popular Music was an instructive guide to the 1990 decades, and of the 557 pop groups it included, 549, nearly, not nearly, 99% worked entirely or predominantly in English. So this is the scenario of the pop music. That means 99% were English language based pop music group. And 1,219 slow vocalists, 1,156, 95% sang in English. So this is the scenario regarding pop music and the slow vocalist of the world. Mother tongue of the singers was apparently irrelevant. The entire international career of ABBA, the Swedish group with over 20 hits records in the 1970 decades, was in English. That means ABBA is a Sweden-based pop music group, but their song, nearly most of the hit song were based in English language. So, most contribution to the annual Eurovision Song Contest are in English, and several title song out of 24 in 2002. So this is the scenario of English language based or popular music in English language. These days, the sound of the English language through the medium of popular song is heard everywhere. There is a radio set. So for the invention of radio and also Alpha Edition's recording industry, we see the popular music, we hear the popular music all over the world through radio. It is a commonplace tourist experience to hear a familiar English refrain in the coffee bar, bus station, or elevator, or simply issuing from the window of a house on almost any street in any town. So the popular music creates such an influence all over the world that if you move anywhere of this world, you might hear the English popular music. So this popular music, English-based popular music, had a tremendous influence all over the world. And there are some practical uh, example over here. That is, "Happy Birthday to You" is widely sung at children's birthday. Not only children's birthday, in every birthdays we sing this sing, that is "Happy Birthday to You" in many countries. And finding genuinely local music can be extremely difficult regarding this. And several commentators have remarked on the way in which Western popular music has threatened the life of ethnic musical tradition everywhere. So it come in the mind of the scholar that for the more dominant role of the popular English popular music, that means the ethnic musical tradition has been declined a lot for such kind of aggressive influence of English popular music. And at the same time, other commentators have drawn attention to the way popular music in the English language has had a profound and positive impact on the nature of modern popular culture in general. However, this is one way uh, that for the spread of English popular music, other ethnic music group has been declined. However, English spreading English popular music has become um, a positive, has had a positive impact on the um, uh, other for discovering and publishing popular music of all ethnic groups. So this is another way that we shouldn't see the spread of English popular music as in a negative vein, but we should see it also in a positive vein, that when English popular music is spread all over the world, the other ethnic musical group, they were encouraged to develop their music, and that is also a positive impact for spreading English popular music all over the world. And in this regard, we, uh, as the lyrics, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, John Lennon, John Beard, and other spread around the world during the 1960 decades and 1970 decades. And English for the younger generation in many countries become a symbol of freedom, rebellion, and modernism. So, on another hand, that sustained through the popular English music, we have got some tunes for establishing or for publishing our own views that are very much symbolic regarding the freedom of expression, the freedom, especially for the cause of rebellion, and also for the cause of the modernism. And there is also, we see an example over here, the social, political, and the spiritual messages carried by the words, such as "We shall overcome." So we sing this song everywhere, whenever we are in a position to achieve something, whenever we are in a position to overcome some obstacle in our life, and we chant such kind of singing, that is the popular music in English language, that is "We shall overcome." It resounded at gatherings in many countries, providing many people with a fast and often highly charged experience of the unifying power of English in action. So this is the techniques. That means popular English music declined the other ethnical musical group in one hand, but it has far-reaching impact for highlighting the other musical group all over the world. And not only that, in terms of socio-political perspectives, we get such kind of popular music like We Shall Overcome that will inspire and unify all the ethnic groups together in terms of freedom, modernism, and rebellion. And also also Live Aid, that is also international project regarding to the idea of modernism. So this is the legacy of popular music in terms of spreading English language all over the world. So if I recap the idea that for the discovery of uh, Thomas Alva Edison's technology, that they could record picture and sound as well. So many popular musical group came in hand towards the middle of the 19th century and towards the end of the 19th century. And in this regard, we see the pop music, the modern music, and some other music. And through the musical data, we see that 99% pop music are based on English language origin, and 95% vocal music, they are based on English language. So this is a way of spreading English language all over the world. So another analogy, we have also noticed that for the cause of spreading English popular music all over the world, other ethnic linguistics group or other ethnic musical group were in decline. However, in another way, this uh, this kind of spreading of English-based popular music encouraged the other popular ethnic linguistics group to come forward, and also in terms of social and political atmosphere, we have got such kind of singing like We Shall Overcome. So this is the um, reason, and this is the way English language is spreaded through the vehicle of popular music. Another thing that is also very important for making uh, English language a global language, and we know, as you see on the slide, that is the international travel. Why people travel from one country to another? The reasons are various. Many people make business trip. Many people want to enjoy their holiday in a foreign country. Another in terms of religious pilgrimage, just kind of based on many religions, all religions, religious pilgrimage, and the sport competition or the military intervention. So people travel from one country to another. Our concern from in one linguistic setting to another linguistic setting for many reasons, as you see on the screen, that either for business, either for holiday, either for religious purposes or sports and military invention, people travel. And each journey has immediate linguistic consequence. When you are in a position to make a journey, linguistics barrier will come to us because we are traveling in a country in which we don't know the language of that country. So we have to be have to understand the language where we are going or where we are making the travel. A language has to be interpreted, learned, imposed, and over time, a traveling trend can develop into a major influence. And if there is a contemporary movement towards world English use, therefore, we would expect it to be particularly noticeable in this domain. So, the linguistic concern is very important while ever making international travel, whatever may be the reason in your travel. In this regard, our concern is how international travel is related to English language. In the tourist industry, for example, worldwide international arrivals approached 700 million in 2000. So these people, nearly 700 million people arrival in uh, in 2000. The leading tourism earner and spender is the USA. At present, we see that tourism has become a main concern of many countries' economy. And we see that in 2001, USA, another English-speaking country, they became the prime earner and as well as the spender in tourism. And we see that the USA in 2001 earned $72,000 million from tourism. Of course, they spent a lot. They spent $59,000 million on tourism. So USA invest a lot on tourism and they got a return from tourism a lot. And also such kind of scenario we see in the UK, but it is the topmost data we have got in case of tourism. And the dominance seems set to continue, notwithstanding the initial impact on international travel caused by the terrorist attack on 7/11 September 2001 in New York. So that was also a negative impact created for tourism. So here you see the data, and in this regard, money talks very loudly in tourism. Whenever people go to visit a country, they spend a lot because if only because the tourist has extra money to spend while on holiday. So this is the scenario regarding tourism. In the tourist spots of the world, accordingly, the signs in the shop windows are most commonly in English. So our concern is English language. So if you visit a country, any country, that means you see sign and signal in English language. Restaurant menus tend to have a parallel version in English. Whatever may be the restaurant, you might go to a foreign country where the English language is not the official language of this country, but you see two kind of menus, one in English and another is in their language. Credit card facilities such as American Express, MasterCard, and most noticeably, they are in English. So this is the scenario. Among the destitute who haunt the tourist location, the smattering of the foreign language which is used to sell artifacts or to beg money from the passing visitor is usually a pidgin form of language. So in the tourist location of foreign country, the beggars and also the vendors who sell showpiece and other souvenirs and everything, they use English language, though their form is not or standard English, but they use English language, the pidgin form of English language. Uh, Move away from the regular tourist routes. However, English soon became conspicuous by its absence. It is important not to forget the fact that even if one third of the world is now regularly exposed to English, As was suggested in chapter 1, this still means that two-thirds are not. So here David Christian has come up with another analogy. So here we have a data that one third of the world population they speak in English language. It also means that two-thirds of the world population they can't speak in English. So how such kind of scenario can be explained and analyzed? Here we need only to walk up a side street in a city or a pause at a village on our way to a destination to experience the world's remarkable linguistics diversity. Okay, so uh, we have got the information that the hotel menu, the other tourist location, we see the English language. But if you go to the remote area of a country, of a city, then you see the linguistic diversity. That means there are several languages they can use among their own people. So this is the scenario. That means two-thirds of world population, they can't speak in English language. The more we know about the language of the country we are exploring, the more we shall be rewarded with a visit that is insightful and comfortable. By contrast, for those who international travel begins from them into a world of package holidays, business meeting, academic conference, international conventions, community rallies, sporting occasions, military occupations, and other official gatherings, the domains of transportation and accommodation are mediated through the use of English as an auxiliary language. So in such international scenario, we see the presence of English language, not like that. Safety instruction on international flights and sailing, information about emergency procedure in hotels, direction to major location are now increasingly in English alongside local language. So if you visit a country where Spanish language is used, but you see two kinds of sign, one in English and another in uh, the Spanish or other languages. But English will be there. And most notices which tell us to fasten our seatbelt. So if you travel by international flight, so first time they will give you an instruction to fasten your seatbelt, and that will be in English as well as their own language. And find the lifeboat station and check the local location of the emergency stair gives us an option in English language. So in international travel, everywhere from the plane to restaurant, from hotel, everywhere you see English as a common lingua franca or an auxiliary language with which a people can communicate with each other. In some cities, the trend towards English has been especially noticeable. There is an example, practical example where you see that in Tokyo 1985 would have found city travel a largely impenetrable experience without an English language map. Okay, so if you visit Japan's Tokyo uh, in before 1985, at that time you have to carry a map, English language map, because the sign were at that time were written in Japanese language, not in English language. But the scenario reversed in 1995. That is, English road sign had become commonplace. So gradually the country were moving to a common global language. They need such kind of facilities for the international tourist. And for this reason, every country nowadays, once upon a time, some countries would have a feeling that they will not be using English language. But nowadays, all of the most of the countries, they have become open, making facilities for the international tourist, because there should be a common global language for communication. And in this regard, English is in the top of the list. So this is the scenario of English language regarding international travel. American songs were exported both in the Boer War and the First World War, and the American Forces Network Radio in particular ensured that English was widely heard in Europe during and after the Second World War. So this is the scenario. This is especially happened in Europe in 1945. A similar point could be made about 1990 decades. So after the Second World War in 1995, Europe, all Europe, there was a tendency to use English language, and such kind of tendency we find after 1990 decades, which saw a presence of English-speaking troops on peacemaking mission in Bosnia. That we know the reason that 1999, that is the Cold War ended, and at that time, the English-speaking keeping mission were in Bosnia, in Middle East, and the Central Africa and elsewhere in Afghanistan since 2001. So this is the scenario of English language. UN officers are routinely heard on TV commenting on the way a crisis of developing, and the language used to the cameras is almost always English, but it is likely that an English language presence of a new month or even years would have a long-term influence on local language awareness. So what we can only speculate. So this is the scenario after Second World War and after 1990 decades all over the world. So this is regarding the international travel. Another thing comes in our hand. Most probably we will be finishing first session after discussing this scenario. That is the international safety. For cause of the international safety, that is a special aspect of safety is the way that the language has come to be used as a means of controlling international transport operation, especially on water and in the air. Safety, international safety, that means safety in transport. So how do we travel a foreign country? We travel either by ships or by aeroplane. So safety, concern with the safety on water and in the air. As world travel has grown, more people and goods are being transported more quickly and simultaneously to more places than ever before, as we have noticed. And the communicative demands placed on air and sea personnel, given the variety of language background involved, have thus grown correspondingly. In such circumstances, the use of a lingua franca has proved of great worth. That means the aeroplane you are traveling, the aeroplane in which the goods and the peoples are traveled from, are exported or imported from one country to another, the captain, the flight cabin crew might not from same linguistics background. So suppose you are visiting by British Airways, you are visiting by Air India, you are visiting by Qatar Airlines. So any airlines you might visiting, in that case, the captain and the cabin crew will know same language. It is not always possible. And for this reason, in terms of making safety, because the cabin crew, especially the pilot of the plane, had to has to communicate with the channel in times of at the time of taking off and taking in. So if there is a common language for the instruction, many accident might be recovered, and many accident can be tackled easily. In this regard, a common language is very essential. English has long been recognized as the international language of the sea, in case of sea. And in recent years, there have been attempts to refine its use to make it as efficient as possible. So in sea journey, English language has been used from a time uh, past, but initiative has been taken to make the English language easy and easily understandable by the people who navigate the ships in waterways. And shipping routes continually alter and present fresh problem of traffic law. Radio and satellite system have greatly extended our ship's communicative range. So whenever a ship will be going from one continent to another continent, the message, the safety messages are delivered by radio and satellite. And for this reason, for the cause of safety measurement, such kind of communication is very important. In such circumstances, mariners need to make their speech clear and unambiguous to reduce the possibility of confusion in the sending and receiving the message. So this is the scenario of sea journey, that whenever a ship will be going forward, the message delivered to the captain and the navigator should be unambiguous. In 1990, a project was set up for the produce essential English for the international mariner use, and often referred as to sea speak. So the English language was used in ship for a long time, but in recent time, the English speaking scholar, they tried to make English language simple for the uses of the sea people, especially the mariner. And what there is an example. What did you say in case of this question? I didn't hear you. Would you please say that once more? Naturally, such kind of expression we use in our daily life conversation. And many other possibilities, C Speak recommends a single phrase instead of these three expression. Only they will be speaking, say again. That means, what did you say? With in this word, they will simply say again. I didn't hear you. Would you please repeat? So such kind of expression was replaced with a single phrase, that is, say again. It means that English language scholar has made the communication among mariners easy with a project like Sea Speak. In this regard, they tried to make English language easy and simple for easily for easy communication among mariners. Likewise, bearing and courses are given with the three figures values 009 degrees, okay, not 9 degrees. In case of values, date are signaled using prefix day 1, 3, month 05, year 1996. In such a way, they use simple English for communication. And in case of another system, safety measurement, that is the fire service and the ambulance service and the police. They also follow the instruction given by their senior officers in case of fire service, ambulance service, and the police. And when a channel tunnel between Britain and France came into operation in 1994, it presented new possibilities for international confusion. Research has therefore been ongoing onto a way standardized communication between the UK and the continent of Europe. It is called Polish Speak. So This is the scenario of making English language easy among two nations. So that is Polish speak. So this is the scenario. Only a handful of nations are truly seafaring, but all nations are nowadays airborne. So we have discussed about the scenario of uh, sea journey, but nowadays many of the country has become airborne. They travel by air only, and in this regard, safety measurement regarding the flight control has become essential for in the safety purposes, and the pace of change here has been truly phenomenal. In 1940, US air carrier were handling around 2 million passenger a year in about 350 planes. In 1940, we have the scenario that US air carriers, that means United US aeroplanes, they carries 2 million passengers in a year. In 1990 and 1950, the total had grown to some 17 million, all over 1,000 planes. So this is the scenario of US plane. In 2000, the number of passengers worldwide exceeded 1,650 million. At that time, the population of the world was 600 million, but 165 million people traveled by US aeroplane from different parts of this world. So this is the scenario that in aeroplane, US aeroplane, they shipped uh, so many passengers in 2000, 1,650 million people, they passengers they carried in their aeroplane. So the English language was essential. And at that time, the Civil Aviation Organization was not established, and the first Civil Aviation Organization was established in Chicago, and that was in 1944. 7 years later, they agreed that English should be the international language of aviation when pilots and controllers speak different languages. So the Civil Aviation Organization was established by America, and that was in 1944. And they took a decision, that means Civil Aviation Organization took a decision that the pilots and the controllers of aeroplanes should use a common language who are from different linguistic background in order to maintain the safety of the passengers and the airplane. And this would have been the obvious choice for a lingua franca. And the common language, when the issue of using a common language will come in front, what language will be used? And this is English language. And the leaders of the Allies were English speaking. The major aircrafts manufacturer were English speaking. So aircraft manufacturer were English speaking. The most of the post-war pilots in the West, largely ex-military personnel, were English speaking. So the aeroplane, the organization leader are from English speaking country. Aeroplane manufacturer are from his English speaking country. The pilots, most of the pilots are from English speaking country. So in case of international travel through aeroplane, for the concern of safety management, a common language should be used among people. And that is, what is the common language? Though the English speaking people are in majority, in case of leadership, in case of manufacturer, and in case of pilots and other operators. So English language has gained the position, that is, English language should be the global lingua franca in case of aeroplane operation all over the world. So this is the scenario of international safety regarding English language. If more than one language is being used, the risks of a breakdown in communication inevitably increases. So this is the so there is another thing that come into our discussion, that is the bilingual air traffic control has been strongly argued. Okay. So and especially this has come from the Quebec, Canada in 1996. Okay, that means some people they thought that the instruction, that means when you will on board of a plane, the safety instruction should be done in two languages. Okay, it is another people supported that. Supporters of bilingual air traffic control stress the fact that not all pilots have a good command of English. Okay, so in this regard, they came in this issue that two languages should be used in case of international plane. Uh, and under such circumstances, it has been argued that it may actually be safer in both parties are allowed to communicate fluently with each other in a language they both understand well. So here there is a scenario that okay, the both parties should communicate in a language where they can understand well to avoid accident in case of aeroplane safety. However, the issue is not simply to do with choosing one language, it is far more to do with molding that language so that it is suitable for all its purposes, economical and precise communication to ensure safety at all the times. So, why English language has become used as the common lingua franca in sea speak, and also another in case of aeroplane, they have come for the easy communication. That is one idea that is called ear speak. Yeah. And everyone knows, if only from the movies, that pilots do not talk in a normal way to air traffic control. They use a restricted vocabulary and a fixed set of sentence pattern which aim to express unambiguous all possible air situations. So here we see that the English people, they have established English language in an easy way to make communication between pilots and the control room um, uh, of the airport. Okay, so here they include the terms such as Roger and Wilco and uh, Mayday, phrases such as maintaining 2050 feet, runway is sight. Okay, that means the pilot will be speaking with the control room using some easy language. Okay, they will be speaking in such a way that is maintaining 2050 feet, runway is sight. That means he will not see that I can see the runway. They say that yeah, runway is sight, and they will also be using the phonetic alphabet to spell out code names. That is A for Alpha, B for Bravo, C for Charlie, D for Delta, in such a way. So the English scholar, they have made English language easy for the better communication among pilots and the control room of the airport. So this is another initiative taken by the English scholar all over the world. So this is the scenario that over 180 nations have adopted the recommendation of the International Civil Aviation Organization about English terminology. So in order to avoid accident in international flight, the Civil Aviation Authority initiated some easy language to overcome the accident in air traffic in airplane journeys. In this regard, 100 countries admitted the proposal given by the International Civil Aviation Authority. And although most pilots' level of English is far greater and than the level required by airspeak norms, many would find it difficult to use English in any daily circumstances outside that used in the air craft communication. So fantastic information is there. That means for the use of the ear speak, that means the common and easy language for making relationship, making communication between pilots and the control room of the airport. This pilot cannot speak the normal English. However, they can easily communicate in English language uh, for the easy presentation of English language prescribed by the International Civil Aviation Authority, that is the English pidgin. So this is the scenario we are in hand. And in 1977, unclear English accounts and terminology caused the collision between the Boeing 747 on the foggy runway at Tenerife, the worst disaster in aviation authority. So what might be the scenario if such kind of misunderstanding happens between pilot and control room? So this massive accident took place in 1977. And another accident took place, that is in 1995. Poor communication caused an American Airlines plane to crash at Cali, Colombia. So, an accident prevention study carried out by Boeing found that in the decade 1982 to 1991, pilot controller miscommunication contributed at least 11% of the fatal crashes worldwide. So, the safety measurement regarding the aeroplane journey towards the world might cost 11% for the miscommunication between pilots and the controller of airline controller of the airport. And for this reason, English language has gained its position all over the world for maintaining international safety. And but it seems likely that the problem of the poor accent, background noise, and the other variable would present difficulties regardless of the language in use. In the meantime, English, with all its failing, remains the recommended language of international air travel. So we are in this scenario, that is for the cause of making safety for international travel by sea line and also by airline, um, usage of single language have become crucial to overcome the accident in airlines and sea journeys. And in this regard, there is a suggestion that bilingual or two languages can be used. However, the International Civil Aviation Authority, the airport manufacturer countries, and also the pilots, most of them are English speaking country. And however, the English scholar, they have initiated some common and easy language called sea speak and Polish speak and also air speak, that made English language easy to um, English language, uh, that made English language a easy tool for making communication between pilots and the controller of the airport. So how in this way English language is spreaded and English language is concerned to international safety or international towards international travel by COS and aeroplane. So thank you very much for attending the class. Okay, so sorry